Shalom, shalom. First, I want to give all praise and honor to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushua, Bahashim, 𝐤𝐤𝐃𝐉𝐿. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of GMS. I'd like to say shalom to the hopefully elect. Down to the church, GMS Orlando and the Truth. And this your brother 𝐤𝐤𝐃𝐉𝐿. And I was just going over, I got a little light, something I want to touch on, and that's let's start in Romans 8 and 20. Romans 8 and 20 reads, "For the creature was made subject to vanity, not willingly, but by reason of him who hath subjected the same in hope." And right here, Paul is telling us that, that we didn't choose. It wasn't our choice, to be in this flesh, to be in this corruptible flesh. Struggling with the flesh. We struggle with the flesh all the time, trying to do the next right thing according to the scriptures, according to the law, statutes, Yahushua. But it wasn't us. It was Yahweh that put us in this flesh, not to destroy us. Because I've asked that question myself. I've said, why did the Lord put us in these bodies that we continuously have to fight against in order to do the right thing? And it wasn't for. That's what I was thinking about. It wasn't for him to destroy us, but through this flesh we get to learn, and we get to experience pain. And it's said that pain is a great motivator. Enough pain will get you up and get you moving. Get you to change some shit. So that's what that's about. The next one I'm gonna read is Genesis 3 and 17, and it reads, "Cursed is the ground for take. In the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread." That Genesis 3, because of Adam sin, through Adam we inherited these corruptible bodies. These bodies we went off after Adam sin. And like that, the beginning of being subject to vanity, being subject to different vain things of the world. We had to learn through this flesh. We get to learn the consequences of disobedience. Through this flesh, we get to learn. This is Ecclesiastes 1 and 14. It says, "All is vanity and vexation of spirit." So everything about everything about this life, money, fame, where you work at, your woman, the lifestyle that you live, that's all vanity. It's all vain, and it's all temporary. The vain things are temporary. The vain things are these bodies, these spiritual bodies, these physical. The spirit, is different. Right, and so through these bodies, the Lord is teaching us through campaign, teaching us about disobedience and vanity. We look at things through a spiritual eye, and we could tell the difference between what's spiritual and what's vain or physical. This Ecclesiasticus 34:9, and it reads, "A man that hath traveled knoweth many things. He that hath no experience knoweth little." So we get to go through what we get to go through in these physical bodies to gain experience, to gain life experience, to understand what it means about consequences of things, consequences of your action, consequences of how you live, consequences of how you think, how you live and how you act those things out. Yahweh Shah wanted us to experience that and experience sins, but the results, so that when we rule in the kingdom, we could be good, we could be merciful and righteous judges and priests. That's what he wanted us to do. He made us to be a kingdom of kings and priests. So with that experience, balance, we learn judgment, and we're able to judge righteously, judge correctly. This is Romans 7:24. "O wretched man that I am, who shall deliver me from the body of this death? I thank Yahweh through Yahushua," because that's how we'll be able to. That's who's going to save us, Yahushua, who people ignorantly call Christ. Yahweh is the Father, is the Son, and right, yeah, and living in vanity, in vain things in this world, we see how how unjust things are, and so we look for a deliverer. When other people are looking, when other nations are looking within themselves to find the answer, we're looking outside ourselves to our power, Yahweh, by Shem Shah, for the answers. And coming to learn and believe that Yahweh Shai, sins and died for us, save us through the mercies of Yahweh by Shem Shah, through Yahweh. And like with struggle, with this flesh comes struggle too. And without struggle, you wouldn't understand. With struggle, we understand what grace is. And grace is something that's given. It's not earned. You can't work towards it. It's just given to you by Yahweh, by Shema Shai. This is Romans 8:20. Reads, "Because the creature itself also shall be delivered from the bondage of corruption into the glorious liberty of the children of Yahweh." Wadi Yahweh Shema Shai. So when we go through this, we're going to be delivered from it, from the bondage, of being corrupt, going off, doing things, that we know is wrong and we don't want to do them, but it's just you got to struggle with the flesh. And sometimes you make it, sometimes you don't. But at the end, like it says here in Romans 8, it says, "Because the creature itself also shall be delivered from the bondage of corruption into the glorious liberty of the children of Yahweh." children of power, children of God. And that's the end game, deliverance from vanity into mortality. So immortality, not mortality, immortality. We're going to become immortals as we cross over. This is Philippians 3:21, and it reads, shall change our vile body, that it may be fashioned like unto his glorious body. And Yahweh will give us bodies that can't sin and that can't get tired and sick once we're saved. That's being saved. You know, when we get new bodies, when we get these new bodies in our kingdom, and we're in control, we're in power, we don't get sick, we don't get tired, you know, and we don't sin anymore. Because like it said in that scripture, it say he will put his lower parts, right? He will put his large into our inward parts. This is Isaiah 25:8, and it reads, he will swallow up death in victory, and death itself will be removed. No more funerals, no more pain. This is Revelation 21:4, and reads, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain. The end of vanity is perfect peace and joy in the kingdom. You know, so the end of these vain lives will be, you know, joy and peace. You know, we'll be in our rest, and you know, we won't have to worry about you know, getting taxed, getting our money being taxed, getting killed in the streets and all of that stuff, or killing each other in the streets and all of that stuff. And I think I got one more I'm gonna read. Yeah, one more I'm gonna read. This is Wisdom of Solomon 3:5, and it reads, and having been a little chastened, they shall be greatly rewarded. For Yahweh proved us, and found them worthy for himself, as gold in the furnace hath he tried them. And this life is the furnace, and the kingdom is the reward. So with that, I'm signing off. Shalom. And that's another thing too. Just like this life is like when the Lord took us into the wilderness after bringing us out of Egypt. He brought us out of Egypt, and he took us through the wilderness to try us, to see what and to see what our hearts is, and you know, this time we get to experience those same things, but we get to learn, and eventually we'll use those things that we have learned, those experiences that we've learned in the kingdom, to be the priests, judges that Yahweh wants us to be. So I'm gonna sign off now. I think my phone getting ready to shut off and run out of power. But those on the comment board, thank you for showing up, and I'll see y'all on the next one. Shalom. Check that. It's beautiful out here. All right. Shalom to those in the comment board. Shalom.